Welcome to 12-Minute Talks, where important information is shared in a short time period. Learn from other business owners, entrepreneurs, and experts about what they do to help you find solutions to everyday topics in 12 minutes or less. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the 12-Minute Talks podcast. I'm excited to have with us today Aaron Gendle. He hosts Review Karma. He's the founder of Review Karma, which helps authors and podcasters get quality reviews and connect. So I know our audience, we have a few podcasters, and it seems everybody's an author nowadays. So it's definitely a topic that you'll want to listen to. Aaron, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you so much for having me, Lauren. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So this is something interesting to talk about because it's something I think not just authors and podcasters, but businesses in general, right? They're always like, man, how do I get more reviews? And I think it's important because it's we live in like the social currency type of world, right? Where like if somebody gives you a good review, it's like, oh, they must be great. Even sometimes it might not be true, but like with restaurants and stuff. But I think that helps. So, Aaron, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into this industry?
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree with you. I know when I'm looking for restaurant or movies, it seems like I'm definitely diving in there. And then obviously if you go on Amazon and you're looking for a book but yeah, as far as my background and how I got into books and podcasting, I actually wrote my first book early 2019, and it was about my journey to overcome this chronic illness I had. And keeping this short, I decided, hey, others need to know how to do this. I did it totally naturally without any prescription drugs or, and not saying that people that have to use that, it's a bad thing, but I was able to do it in a very short time and, was able to even go on to run big Spartan races and get really healthy. Right. And
Wow.
I wanted to share that journey with others in a book. And I just believe in the power of books and how the legacy they can leave and how many people they can help. And so as I started down that journey, I, didn't know what I was doing. I self-published and I became an Amazon bestseller, but then through that process, I was like, hey, I just started to notice a lot of things like, that people weren't actually approaching me to be on podcasts like this. Like I had to be more proactive. And I as far as reviews, they were very difficult to come by, right? I had to like ask everybody I knew, and only a fraction of those people even left me a review. So I saw those pain points with that. And then I decided, hey, I wanted to start my own podcast. So I did that. I started a podcast to help authors share their stories because I realized, hey, a lot of authors want to share their stories, but they don't have that platform or people aren't reaching out to them. There's, I think, maybe over 4,000 books published in a single day, right? And there's so many authors that have spent so much time and effort to write their stories and books that I wanted to give them that platform. So that's how I started my podcast, where I interview a new author just about every single day. And yeah, just through all that, I realized both authors and podcasters have these pain points of like reviews, sharing their stories. And just as with a podcaster, I interviewed, I don't know if you know who he is. I recently interviewed John Lee Dumas, who's pretty well known in the podcasting world. And I asked him, I was like, hey, what is the biggest thing you could do right now to tell others about your podcast, to get the word out about it? And he's like, I'm doing it right now. He's like, I get on 20 podcasts a month and share my podcast and all the other things I'm doing. So all this came to, circling back to Review Karma, where it's helping authors and podcasters not only get reviews, but then they have a chance to collaborate and connect with each other to grow their books, their podcasts. And I also have a huge database of that I've been using personally, and then I'm sharing with others, where they can go in and search hundreds of thousands of podcasts, filter them down on whether they have guests on their shows, their reviews and the ratings that they have, and get an idea of what shows that they can ask to be on, even along with the website information, email information. So I've spent a lot of time and effort over the last 6 months putting this together, try to solve some of these problems for authors and podcasters.
That's great, Aaron, and I think it's something that's really important that people have access to, right? Because no one's gonna come knocking on your door. Perhaps yes, if you're like a celebrity or somebody well known, right? But
Yeah.
if you're one of these, you said 4,000 people publish books on Amazon.
Yep.
How do you stand out? And definitely, I think we're very lucky to live in this century where anybody can pretty much publish a book. It's not like, I don't know, in the 1700s where you had to like get a king or something to like be like, yes, I would like you to write a book, right? Um,
Yeah.
you know so it's definitely great for people to get reviews and then be on other podcasts to be able to promote what they do. So so we know that you help authors and podcasters. Can you go a little bit more, like give us an example of like a success story of somebody that has used review karma?
Yeah, well, the platform just launched, but I mean, I'm already, I think within a few weeks, I already have over maybe 120 members on there. So it's
Nice.
growing. I think the success for me is to see that people are very interested in solving their problem, right?
Yeah.
And along with the platform, I've seen many people and others that I've coached use a list similar to this. I sell a list that's like a subset of my huge database that's like, here's a list of podcasts that have guests that are maybe especially in the like self-help, entrepreneurial, that kind of category of podcasts. And I've seen people use that list, and even I can speak especially to myself, and using what I have now, I've been able to get reviews on the platform myself, and also get on tons of podcasts using the list by just reaching out. And I think that's probably the biggest exciting thing for me, is to see that people are very interested in it solving that problem. But we'll see how the coming year unfolds with how
Right,
many
right.
members. But I
I
expect
think,
to have.
with everything.
I was saying I expect to have lots of members on the platform, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, with everything going on, I think more people are listening to podcasts and have time to actually read books, right? So it's great to give people a way to reach out to a bigger audience. What do you think somebody that's on a podcast should do after their episode comes live? Like, what are some tips you can give to get, like, more marketing, let's say,
Yeah.
more eyes on their episode?
Yeah, actually, good question. So, having released lots of episodes myself, have, something like 150 episodes published now, and being on a lot of shows. I know it takes time. For one thing, I think if you don't have the time, sometimes you need to spend some money to offload some of that to yourself, offload some of that to others. That's my first tip. Is it's relatively inexpensive to, say, hire a virtual assistant in another country. And I have others that work for me like that I could pay a pretty nominal price that most people probably could afford, say $5 an hour to help with some of these tasks. Because I think that's one of the biggest things I've noticed, even for myself, is just having the time to devote towards, promoting the episode, and not just once, right?
Yeah.
So the other thing I do is I use a tool called Social Bee, and it actually has a way to republish and republish that content as evergreen. So it'll cycle through, and then don't just publish it once, right? Like, republish
Hmm.
it in a month from now and 2 months from now, because that content is still great, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's another tip I have. The other tip and things that I've used is actually promoting the post through Facebook advertising, right?
Yeah.
And it actually can do this, especially with a wide audience. And if you do it in the right way, you can get thousands and thousands of views, especially if it's video, or even if it's just an image post, you can get thousands of clicks and views if you do it in the right way
Yeah.
to send more traffic that way, and without spending a lot of money.
That's Yeah, that's definitely great advice. I think I've noticed people that have been on podcasts, maybe they'll just promote it once and like I'll forget that they were on a certain podcast, right?
Yeah.
So it's always being top of mind. And I think podcasts are a great way of doing that because maybe somebody won't listen to the whole 45 minutes. This one's only 12 minutes, right? But they'll definitely sit and watch maybe like a 2 or 3 minute video about your podcast or whatever episode you were talking about, your book, right? And,
Yep.
and it'll definitely be a great way to then promote, your book or your podcast, whatever it is that you're promoting. And so, Aaron, how can somebody get in touch with you if they want to learn more about Review Karma?
Yeah, thank you so much, Lorena. If you want to check out the platform or get a hold of me or my team at Review Karma, you can go to getreviewkarma.com. And you can also check out my podcast, dailyauthors.com. If you're an author, shoot me a message and I'd be happy to have you on.
Awesome. And like always, I'll have all of the links down below so you guys can quickly click on it and go there. And I just wanted to quickly introduce myself for those of you that might not know who I am. My name is Lorena Tomasini, and I'm the owner of Mom Life and Health Insurance Agency, where together with my mom, we help families and business owners with their financial protection needs, all done digitally. And so, Aaron, for your last question here, what would you say is your best productivity hack?
Good question. My best productivity hack is outsourcing. I briefly mentioned it before, but I get through tons of podcasts and lots of extra work a week by just delegating a lot of the things that others can do, and I can then focus on those really important things that I'm most excited about doing.
Yeah. So that delegation is your productivity tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's definitely a big one, and I think it's something that you know all people can use more because you'll get to accomplish more things in the same time period. We all have the same 24 hours a day, right?
Yep.
So yeah, definitely. Aaron, it's been great having you on the 12 Minute Talks podcast. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, that's it. I think other than go and just live your dreams and don't give up, whatever those might be.
Thank you for listening to this podcast and hope you will listen to the next one. I'm Lorena Tomasini, and you can contact me via email life@malmins.com. Make it a great day.